Gigi, so I think one of the things we've seen in the rural retail sector is quite a bit of growth, and one of the reasons we think that is sort of linked to the value and growth in the informal trading sector. And we'd like to, hear from you on some interesting sort of perspectives and experiences you've had in the past in this sector.
Sure. Yeah. I think one of the mistakes we make, we're surrounded all by this kind of negativity and stories about unemployment being so high and stuff like that. And we miss the fact that there is this huge informal economy, everything from like the spaza sector is 160 billion rand sector, the fast food sector, what I call Kasinomics, which is everything from like what's called a gorda to chicken dust, is a 90 billion rand a year sector. And I often tell the example, for instance, of Mbali, who's got 7 chicken dust outlets, like a grilled chicken outlet, who buys 1,000 chickens a week for 40 rand and sells them for 110 rand once they're grilled. Who's making a huge amount of cash money in this economy. We have the tavern sector, 110 billion rand a year sector, premiumizing from this kind of shebeen where you sit on a crate to really elaborate places. The hair salon sector, 10 billion rand a year, and also the growth of hair extensions and lashes and nails and stuff. It's really accelerating. We've just seen, like, for instance, a growth of 64% over the last 4 years of imports of hair extensions into this kind of space. And there's many others. We look at the more rural environment, the muti trade, herbal traditional medicine is an 18 billion rand a year sector. So these are big incomes coming into people's lives. And that is clearly fueling the formal economy, because those people are having to either import the hair extensions or get the raw materials for the food or alcohol, Johnny Walker Blue or whatever it might be. So, we often ignoring that and the spend that's happening, for instance, in the retail environment, whether it's in malls or supermarkets, is often income that's been earned within this informal economy. And those people could be seen as unemployed. For instance, the backroom rental sector is a 20 billion rand a year sector. Spaza rental, the foreign traders rent from South Africans, that's a further 25 billion. So that's 45 billion rand in passive rental incomes received by South African households. So, again, when someone's coming to shop in the shopping center, they could be unemployed, but they could be earning, say, 7,500 rand a month in rental incomes.
And that's usually all sort of cash trade. And I think what we see there often is sort of a premiumization in the way people shop, and the value proposition for our client base certainly is that sort of cash trade influencing trading densities and sort of getting them higher rentals in these malls, and often sort of very little to no rental reversions and higher development yields. So I think there's a very strong link in how these malls are performing to the strength of this informal and really cash economy that we see there.
Yeah, look, it is huge. I mean, just if you look at the cash economy, at the end of the month, the first and last week of the month, the social grant recipients, everyone's going to withdraw cash. And so you have these queues at the shopping centers, people withdrawing their cash, because when they spend it in the informal economy, they're spending it in cash, very low kind of acceptance of card or other form of electronic payments. And so, yes, to your thing, that there is a huge amount of cash circulating in this space, and we're not really understanding how big that cash economy is, but we're certainly seeing it in retail turnover, and footfalls within those environments. And what's also happening is people are traveling less. So, the taxi industry is impacted in terms of leaving the township and moving out the township. People are increasingly shopping at a shopping center or at a retailer which is within a local taxi drive, as opposed to leaving that environment. So, that inward look, in a sense, is growing that space.
Yeah. And then there's also, of course, the social impact that I think the development of these centers in the rural areas have. I think a lot of the developers have to sort of develop the infrastructure together with the centers that they're building, the roads leading there, building taxi ranks and all that kinds of things. And I think it sort of has a very nice follow on in terms of job creation and, all these other opportunities that flow from it, access for informal traders to sort of grow their businesses into more formal trade. So to your point on Bali, you know, perhaps selling her chicken in a shop, in a shopping center as opposed to on the side of the road.
Yeah, so I think that there is a big impact from those centers in those kind of places, but I do think that there's a bigger opportunity because, you know, like in Bali, she desperately wants to get a chicken dust outlet in a local shopping center, but she doesn't qualify because she doesn't have all the kind of paperwork and proof of turnover and stuff like that. Same with a hair salon, you know, there's a lady, Palisa, I talk about, you know, she's 20 years old, she employs 10 staff, she's working from like this kind of gazebo. She's desperate to have a hair salon in like a more formal space. Again, she doesn't have all the right things. So I think there's a real opportunity to look at that and say, hey, there is this big, this large number of businesses in this space, and how could we allow them better access into this? And also, how do we create kind of incubations? For instance, the Mall of Tembisa has a Gasi incubation lab as part of their mall, and they allow some local businesses, creatives, to come and operate from that space. You know, so I think there's really big opportunities to look kind of broader in terms of who could be your tenants and how could you enable them to trade from those spaces, not just about creating jobs and a place for and closer proximity. So Mrs. Lamini is spending less money on a taxi. That's all really cool, but I think there is a bigger opportunity out there that can really create reciprocal benefits to both the center as well as the local business community.